All right, so the last part of our halftone instruction is we're going to be talking about how you can make these kind of vector halftones and how you can use the effect features in Illustrator to take something that is a gradient and turn it into something that you might be able to use in screen printing or a lot of other medias that you, if you're not printing something, then you have to have something that it's not that computer generated gradient, and you need to have it where you can do it using spot colors. This is a technique you can use for that. You can also use these, you can see how you can use these in backgrounds and other designs too, okay? So I've got two of them set up here because I want to show you what it looks like as a linear and a radial. So all of these, I have already set up my gradients. I've made another video about how to do all of that and apply gradients and have them going in different directions. And I'll show you that in just a second as we go through this, okay? So what I want to do is I want to select this, and then I'm going to go up to Effect, and then I'm going to go to Pixelate, and then Color Halftone. So Effect, Pixelate, Color Halftone. Now that I have that selected, the little dialog box will pop up. And the main thing here is you need to make sure that all of these are the same number. So I just use 45 on all of them, okay? And then your max radius will determine how big your dots are. So the biggest dot, the biggest halftone, how big is that going to be? So I've got this one set at 70 pixels, but it just kind of depends on the size of your object and the effect you're trying to get. So you hit OK, and it takes it a second to process it, and there we go, okay? So these are those halftones. This is where it starts out, and you've got those larger circles here, and so as it gets into the darker section, and as it gets into the lighter section, you see how not only do they get smaller, they also get further and further apart, okay? And like I said earlier, if you want to change what the direction and the intensity of your gradient, you can go over to your gradient tool, and so you can see I can do something like this, and I get a different effect. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, there we go. I get a different effect. So however you want to draw it, whatever your point of origin is, all right, you can draw different things and get different results. All right, so this is great. I love that. Let me go put it back kind of the way it was. All of that is wonderful and shiny and brand new, but that's great. But I want to be able to actually manipulate these things, and I want to be able to change the color of these halftones, because right now this is just black. That's a solid spot color of black, and I want to change this to red or yellow or whatever, okay? So what you're going to do is, I've seen a couple different ways to do this. This is just the technique that I use. I want to be able to image trace this, but right now I don't have image trace as an option up here. So what I do is I have this selected, and I go to Object, and then go to Rasterize. And when I rasterize this, it basically turns it into a JPEG. Okay, so now if I were to look at this, this is, and I can zoom in and see all of the pixels. All right, and so now that this has been rasterized, I now have the option to image trace. If I go up here to the top and click image trace, and it's like, hey, this is a really big file. Are you sure you want to image trace? Yes, I'm really sure that I want to image trace. Thank you for warning me about that. Okay, so now that I've done image trace and then expand, so now I have all of these objects that if I zoom in, it's no longer pixelated, okay? If I go into outline mode with Control Y, I can see that these are all made out of circles. All right, so this has all been turned into vector art. All right, and if I want to get rid of my white background, because right now it's on a white background, if I put it over here on this gray, you can see what I'm talking about. So if I want to get rid of that white background, I can double click to go into the group. You can see that I'm in the group because I got this blue line at the top. And then I can use the magic wand. Magic wand, select all of the white and hit delete. So now I have all of that being solid. If I double click to get out of the group, and I can change this to another color, okay, and how that looks there. If I want to make it where it's on a different color background, I could make a background, make that be yellow, and then Control-Shift bracket sends it to the back. You can also mess with the layers. You could also do right-click arrange, whatever you want to do. So you can see where you can make some sort of designs pretty quickly, make some interesting stuff using these halftones, okay? That's getting kind of hard to look at. So we're going to move over here, and I just want to show you what it looks like if we were to do that as a radial, okay? So this is the same thing. I had a linear halftone. This is radial. So if I go to Effect and Pixelate, Color Halftone, and I get the same result, but it's different because it is circles.